Oi with the accountability. Enough already. It's the single most prominent issue I address in my leadership coaching business. Some days, it seems that every company has accountability issues. And when I say some days, I mostly mean Mondays through Fridays. Apparently, workplace guru Ann Lohr agrees with me. She claims that 85% of leaders fail to give their subordinates direction on what they should be working on. And so we're crystal clear on this one. If you aren't giving your subordinates direction on what they should be working on, you are not holding them accountable. Ergo, henceforth, 85% of leaders don't hold their subordinates accountable. Do you work at a place where there's little to no accountability? I bet you do. There's an 85% chance. As you may already know, there are a whole bunch of problems that come from lack of accountability. These include decreased productivity, low morale, little innovation, and a degrading culture. In other words, lack of accountability is bad for business. But still, 85% of leaders fall victim to it. There must be a reason. Oh, I know. I've got a surprise for you, because I know how much you love surprises, and I hope you know how much I love you. Though you think we're talking about an accountability issue, we aren't. That's the surprise. Accountability is actually not the problem. Accountability is only the symptom.
Plot twist.
The real problems are poor decision making and fear of conflict. Let's dive in deeper, shall we? There are 4 requirements to maintain accountability with others. They are a clearly defined outcome, a date to accomplish it, a single person to be responsible, and consequences in case of failure. Outcome, date, person, and consequences. If any single one of those 4 items is missing, you aren't actually involved in accountability. All 4 of the items are absolutely required. I can't even tell you the number of leaders I've talked with who claim they hold others accountable, yet they don't give a deadline date or they don't give consequences for failure. That's not accountability. The first 2 requirements, a clear outcome and a due date, are dependent on your decision-making abilities. And the last 2, a responsible person and potential consequences, are going to challenge your fear of conflict. Let's discuss this a little more. Pull up a chair, make yourself comfortable. First, decision-making. Accountability starts with defining the outcome you want. Easy peasy, right? Maybe, maybe not. Decision-making is easy when the choices are binary. The answer is fairly straightforward when you only have to decide between yes and no, or pineapple on pizza or no pineapple. But binary choices aren't what happens in the real world. And that's where many leaders struggle. You simply can't hold people accountable for multiple priorities. Because if you try to make people accountable for everything, they'll succeed at nothing. And that is exactly the problem that got us here in the first place. Once you figure out the top priority, you need to come up with a date for each person to accomplish their goals. This can be a complicated decision for a lot of people. I get it. And complicated things can be scary. One thing people do when they encounter a scary decision is avoid it. And that, my friend, is why your accountability issue is most likely a decision-making problem. Which rolls us right up to the fear of conflict. By the way, if you like this so far, click the like button below. Maybe also subscribe while you're at it, huh? Assuming you've effectively set a clear outcome and a deadline date, there's only one more thing you've got to do in order to hold people accountable. And that's face up to your fear of conflict. As I mentioned before, the next requirements in accountability are choosing one person to be responsible for the outcome and delivering immediate consequences if they don't follow through. If you're like many of the leaders I coach, you're probably realizing that these are the 2 areas where you fail. Welcome to the party. What I've discovered is that the leader who always wants to be liked is the same leader who is challenged to select one person to be held accountable. More often than not, they're scared of the conflict that could arise when they force somebody to reprioritize their day. Well, let me tell you, if you're scared of having people reprioritize their day, you're really going to have an existential crisis when it comes to delivering consequences. Of the 4 requirements of accountability, Delivering consequences is where the process most often collapses like a jiggly Jenga tower. Consequences can cause conflict, and conflict can be hard, but accountability doesn't happen without consequences. So it's time to do the hard things. It's time to say enough already with accountability. If you like this, please subscribe, click that like link, maybe share it with a friend. My name's Jeff Matlow. I'm an executive coach. Contact me when you're ready to transform your life. I appreciate you. We'll talk to you next time.